In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made this. This is part 2 because part 1 is when I made this solid brass smiley face with a frown face on the opposite side. So if you're new to this video, make sure when you're finished this video, check out how I made this. So let's get right to the video. I first created my pattern using a free program called Inkscape. I then loaded that pattern into a free program called Easel and carved it out of a piece of pine with my foxalien 4040 CNC router. And once the pattern was carved out, I then needed to strike a line in the center of that piece. And this tool is really handy at finding the center and drawing that mark. I will say, even though it works really well, it really works a lot better when you're on the center of a piece and the point of the pencil is sharp. Because you could see here, mine was not too sharp, but it still found center pretty well. I then loaded that piece into a vise and I drilled down into it with an 1/8 inch bit. I used a long bit, so I protruded through the top and the bottom. And you can see here that I didn't use that marking piece, I actually used my fingers with a pencil. Now I created a piece of foam to find center, or at least to use it to find center, for when I drilled into the brass piece. I thought using a piece of foam would be fairly simple and a lot easier than using another piece of wood. But unfortunately, I got center on one side, but when I went to do the other side, I didn't get center. So I remarked it with a pencil and I decided to drill it one more time and making sure that I hit my mark on the second time. And yes, of course, I got it on the second time because I had to get it on the second time. There was no other way around it but getting it on the second time because there really is no third time on that piece. Now I need to fit the brass piece to the wooden piece. I'm actually going to be using 1/8 inch pins to press into that hole to allow the brass piece to spin. These pins are actually old CNC bits, 1/8 inch CNC bits that had broken in the past, so I thought they would be perfect for this. And you can see here one that I did not cut yet. I will show you now that it is a 1/8 inch bit that the tip is broken off of. And what I'll do now is I'll just demonstrate that the pin will go through the top and it will be perfectly lined to allow that brass piece to spin. But before we get into any of that, I need to stain and clear coat and really make this look nice. So the first thing is I want to give this a border, and I'm going to use some scrap pieces of wood that I have in my shop that was given to me in the past. This is furniture grade wood. I actually don't even know what type of wood it is, but it's really nice hardwood. I apply the wood glue to both sides, really rub it into the one side, and then press it in firmly. Following that, I need to clamp this down for 24 hours. And I still have to add the sides. So after I clamp this down and let it set for 24 hours, making sure it's all straight and it doesn't move, I then can remove the clamps and now glue on the side pieces. Doing the same thing as before, rub it in on the one side and apply it to the other piece of wood that I'm going to be attaching. Do this to both sides, clamp it up for 24 hours. And now that everything is all glued, it's been 24 hours, I'm going to use an 1/8 inch long bit to go through it and poke a hole in the top of that border that I just previously glued. So now that all the carving is done on the top piece, now I need to make something for the top to sit on. So here's another furniture grade piece of wood that I had in my shop, and I used my router to carve in a nice design on the edge of the wood. Now both pieces are done. Now I need to find the center on the bottom piece and attach the top piece to the bottom. So now I'm going to be going back to the drill press and drilling in some holes into the bottom piece. And for this, I'm using the same thing as before. I'm going to be using an 1/8 inch bit to make that hole. Both 1/8 inch holes are now drilled, but now I need to change it up and drill a recessed hole bigger for the screw head to fit into. Now it's time to add some finishing work to it. I'm going to be using a stain, the Ipswich Pine Stain. I'm only going to add it to the letters only. I really want those letters to pop. And also, this color stain kind of matches the border. So I think this really makes a good match. Once the stain is dry, it's then time to add the Varathane Polyurethane Semi-Gloss. Now for this, I really put a big heavy coat on it because I don't like to coat multiple times. And you can see here, when you put this clear coat on, it actually goes on white, but as it dries, it does turn clear. This is what it looks like just after I was done, and just a few hours later, you can see here it is starting to turn clear, but you can still see a little bit of white. So you really need to give this a good 24 hours to fully cure. I should also mention that I didn't video it, but I did add clear coat to the entire face, as well as the borders, and you can see that here. Look at that semi-gloss shine. This is beautiful. Oh yeah, one more thing. I added brown to the inner side of that circle. So now that everything is ready to go, it is now time to retrofit the smiley face and add the pins. And I only have a pin for the bottom, so now I need to take the other 1/8 inch router bit that broke and put it in and make a mark on the distance that I need to cut it, or I should say length I need to cut it. By this, I'm just going to score it with this little blade and take it to my vise and cut off the excess that I don't need.
Guys, this came out so good. Every single piece, excellent. Look at this. And I'll tell you what, adding that additional layer of clear coat really makes this pop. And adding that clear coat takes hours and hours and hours. You need to apply it, sand it, apply it, sand it. It takes forever. But now that all the woodworking of this piece is finished, we are going to now go to the bench and connect all the pieces together. So let's go. That's it, guys. That's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. I loved making this piece. I think it came out beautiful. Also, I'm not a professional woodworker. This is just a hobby of mine. I think I did a pretty good job of just being a hobbyist and completing this. Now, guys, if you're new to my channel, head over to my videos and check them out. Because, again, this is number 2. This is video number 2. Because number 1, I made this solid brass piece here. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video today. I really hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you stick around for my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in my next video.